What's good, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the King McClure Show, and I'm your host, King McClure. Excited to be your home for everything college basketball news and notes, gossip, whatever you want. We got it here. We got a loaded show for you today. Gossip. Whatever you want, we got it. We got a loaded show for you today. We're talking Jerome Tang and how Kansas State is handling that situation. We're talking about the battle of the point guards. We're talking about a Final Four preview that we're going to see on Saturday. We have all of that and more as soon as we come right back. And we are back. Hank, what's good with you?
I'm good, King. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm living a dream. You know, Hank, I've really been heavily into my fragrances. Like, I know this is random, but I've been heavily into colognes. And I got this Le Labo cologne. It's called the Temacha 26.
Okay.
And whenever I put it on, I feel so great, and I feel just so comforted, and I just feel incredible. And I have it on right now. And I smell good, I feel good, and I'm ready to do this.
That is what they always say. Smell good, feel good. Before I ask you a follow-up question, I do have one or two. Is this an ad? Are we doing an ad right now? Or is this is just...
This is not an ad. I wish. Honestly, you know what? If we want to turn this into an ad and Le Labo wants to give me some of their products, let's go ahead and do it. However,
email
I've
me.
seen Le Labo on TikTok, and I've heard a lot about the fragrance house, and it wasn't until I actually finally bought one, I understand it now. I get it, and I see the hype.
And so this is my question. I'm assuming they have multiple fragrances at Le Labo. Was it difficult for you to find one that you felt like was your signature scent? Did you have to do some testing, or did you just read the title of it and you were like, Temacha?
You know, I don't want to go too deep into this, because this could be like a whole episode conversation.
Oh, I got you.
Right now,
You want to say it?
I'm in a place. Yeah. I'm in a place where I'm still looking for that signature scent.
Gotcha.
So like, I don't know if this is my signature scent, because I do want people to be able to like smell me, and I want the scent to project. And Le Labo scents are more so known for being skin scents. So like, the most popular one is Another 13, but if you smell it out the bottle, it really doesn't smell like anything until you put it on your skin. So it doesn't necessarily project extremely loud. However, like, if people get up on you, like, it'll leave you, like, you'll leave like a small like ciliage, I guess. But like, it's nothing like a Baccarat Rouge, that's what everybody wears, or a Dior Sauvage, or like a Creed Aventus. Like, now all of a sudden you walk in a room, people are like, oh, whoa, what is that, right? It's not that. It's more subtle, but it's like, you smell good. You smell clean. You know, I smell like I just took a luxurious shower, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Right now, just so we can make this a 5D experience for all of our listeners, I'm wearing a Old Spice Fiji. It's kind of an old school, more of a natural scent. I'm not sure how I would describe it. Maybe sporty, sweat resistant for sure. All right, King, is there anything else, anything scent related you want to hit before we move on to the news and notes for today?
Bro, all I'm gonna say is I have to put you on. I'm gonna have to give you a cologne.
Sure,
I have like about 40 or 50, so I'm gonna have to give you one and put you on. I'm sure your girlfriend will love it if I put you on.
I'm sure she would. She the bar is low right now for smells coming out of here. So yeah, dude, right, you have 40 or 50 colognes. Is that a real number? You have 40 or 50?
That's a real number. I like to smell good.
Wow.
And like I said, this is a whole conversation we can get into that would probably take an hour. But you know what? Let's have a different conversation right now.
Okay, yeah.
Because I can go deep. I can go deep off a cliff on the reason why, and like how I got into smells and fragrances and everything. But you know what? We're gonna get into Jerome Tang right now.
Wait, one more question. One more question on smells. Yeah. If we're doing a smell conversation, who's your dream guest? Like, who do you want to have on here so we can all sit down and get to the bottom of the scents?
Oh my goodness.
We can come back to this if you want. I can ask you again at the end of this show.
You know what? I would really like to sit down with whoever created, I don't know the name, but whoever created Le Labo, because I think that is the most interesting fragrance house
Okay.
out there on the market.
Okay. Okay.
It's extremely interesting to me. Extremely
We'll do
interesting
some
to me.
digging. We'll do some
Right?
digging. But yeah, get us
We'll
into
do
our
some digging, right?
topics.
But let's start off with Jerome Tang today. All right, let's start off with Jerome Tang. And typically we put 5 minutes on the clock. 5 minutes on the clock. We run it down, kind of do a PTI style. But for this specific one, we're going to put 10 on the clock. We're going to put 10 on Jerome Tang because I am absolutely outraged on how they are doing him and how they are treating him. And let's just run it down. Let's start it off, Hank, all right? So, Jerome Tang, coach of the Wildcats. First year he got there, he had Marquise Noel. He had, what's my man's name?
Marquise
who has the
Noel.
same heart disease as me?
Keshad
What's
Johnson,
my man's
right?
name? Oh, my goodness. No, why am I blanking?
Oh, not
Keontae
Keshad
Johnson.
Keontae
Johnson, all right? He had Keontae Johnson. He had Marquise Noel. He had a really good team. And Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson, those two guys alone were able to get him to the the Elite Eight. And they ended up losing. So that next year, turn around, they don't make the tournament. That following year, turn around, they don't make the tournament. Now that next year, which is this year, they are not making a tournament. They are one of the worst teams in the Big 12, right? Now, here's what we have to take into consideration because a fact is a fact. You know I love Jerome Tang. He recruited me when I was at Baylor. I've been knowing him since I was 14 years old. We've had a relationship since I was 14. Like, that man knows everything about me. I know so much about him. Like, that's almost like a second father figure to me, right? When he had the press conference the other day, I called him immediately and was just checking on him. I didn't even want to know nothing about the team. I don't care about none of that. I just literally checked on him. Like, how you doing? Are you okay? Like, you want to talk? Like, I love you. That's all I have to say. Like, I love you, coach. I'm always going to support you no matter what, right? That's the type of relationship we have, right? If I were to have something going on in my life, Jerome Tang would be one of the first people to call me, all right? So that's the relationship we have. So a fact is a fact, though. Has he done his best job? Has he had the most successful seasons in the past 4 years? No. Outside of the Elite Eight, he has not. He has not had the most successful seasons out there, all right? So that's a fact. Has he spent a lot of money on guys who didn't necessarily turn out and didn't pan out like he thought they would? Yes, but there's a lot of coaches who have done that. But like Coleman Hawkins, Doug McDaniel, like that just wasn't a good pairing. Those guys just weren't ready for this level, and they just weren't that great. They didn't meet the expectations. So now you get to this year, you got a guy like PJ Haggerty who has been pretty good. He's been actually really good, but everybody else just hasn't panned out, okay? So here's where the situation gets sticky. Because a lot of people expected him to lose his job after the end of the season. Now, Kansas State thought that they would be meticulous, and they thought that they would, try to come up with a plan to get out of the buyout. Because let's remember, he signed this buyout after the first year. I want to say this is when the buyout the buyout got negotiated after they went to the Elite Eight. Because everybody was just in an uproar and they were like, oh my gosh, the greatest thing ever, right? So this is when the buyout was taking place. This is when it came into effect and it got negotiated, was after the Elite Eight year. They gave him an $18 million buyout, which is $3 million more than any other coach in the country. This is probably one of the highest buyouts in college basketball. So Kansas State didn't want to deal with this anymore, the university, all right? So Jerome Tang in the press conference, right? What did he say in the press conference? If we pull up what he said in the press conference, he basically talked about how it was an embarrassment. His team was an embarrassment. It talked about how
I got the quote here. He
dudes do not
says,
deserve to wear the uniform.
he says, yeah.
Oh, here's the quote right here. Yeah, here's the quote. He said, this was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. It's just ridiculous. Hank, what did he say wrong in this?
Nothing. First of all, nothing is wrong. Everything here is true. I think it's a little bit of the hot dog meme, if you know what I'm talking about. We're all looking for the guy who did this. But I don't think anything here is incorrect. I'll say that. And
So
yeah,
that's my point. Because look, you're right. You got to look in the mirror and be like, all right, we're talking about these dudes. Well, you recruited those guys. Like we know that's a fact. Jerome Tang, you got them dudes here. You recruited them. All right. But like with everything that he says this is an embarrassment for the university, an embarrassment for our fans, our student section. Like he's talking about like not it being embarrassing to him, but to the whole Kansas State university, the institution. So for me, Kansas State decides to fire him and then say that they fired him for cause of embarrassment, because he has a clause in his contract that says if you embarrass the university, that buyout I don't know the specifics, but the buyout either goes down or they don't have to pay it they don't have to pay as much
so
or they don't have to pay it at all.
I think it's
Which
if
one
they
is it?
embarrass the university or cause damage to the university's public reputation, so the language, something like that, then they don't have to pay his $18 million buyout, which I can understand why they would try to do that. But I'm picking up what you're putting down, King. This is a stretch. This is a reach, especially when the guy didn't say anything wrong.
This is a major reach right now. So he was literally saying that for the university, this is embarrassing. So it's almost like, all right, Kansas State, are you saying that the players that he recruited were embarrassing? So like you embarrassed the university by putting this product on the floor? Because if you're saying that what he said in the press conference was embarrassing, so you're going to fire him as a result of that, be so serious right now. Vic Schaefer, literally, University of Texas head women's coach, literally talks about how his team is the softest team he has ever coached, and goes on a tangent literally a day after Jerome Tang went on his. And I guarantee you the University of Texas would never look to fire Vic Schaefer. Like, we're going to have to call this a spade. Call a spade, and just say this. Say, hey, we don't want to pay you $18 million. We don't want you as our coach anymore. So therefore, let's just call it what it is. We don't want you as our coach. We don't want to pay you $18 million. So we're going to try to find a loophole to get you fired so that we don't have to pay you. Well, guess what, Kansas State University? You screwed up. You messed up, because that was the stupidest decision that you could have made. If you would have fired him after the season, because I will say after April 1st, I think the buyout dropped significantly. But if you would have fired him after the season, okay, I understand. But to fire him right now, knowing that you're going to owe him $18 million and use this as your excuse and your reason, Kansas State University, you should be ashamed, because ain't no way in the world you are that, what word do I want to use? That's stupid. There's no way in the world you are that stupid to think that this is going to be the reason. This is going to be your savior to keep you from having to pay Jerome Tang his money. Get out of here. Be so serious.
What would you rather have from your coach? Do you want the guy that's going to sit up there in the press conference and tell the fans and also indirectly the players on his team, like, this is okay, this is fine. Yeah, we've won 2 conference games all season, but like that, that's all right. Like, these guys will be back next year, and we're just going to keep working hard. We're going to trust the process. No, like, you want a coach, in my mind, who's going to get up there. Like Vic Schaefer, the Texas women's team has been soft this year, and they started out very, very hot. They cooled off a little bit. They're still number 4 in the country, which I think is a difference, an important difference there. But I mean, yeah, I like having a coach. Sean Miller's this guy too for the Texas men's team.
Yeah.
I like having a coach who's going to get up and sit down behind the microphone and say what he means and call it like it is. So
and just be transparent. Like there's a certain level of transparency that we don't get from coaches. Like, when you talk to coaches will always give you that coach speak. They'll give you the fluff, they'll give you the runaround, and they'll never be real with you. But now all of a sudden, like, we look at dudes like Mick Cronin. Like, nobody says anything to Mick Cronin when Mick Cronin goes after every game and complains the way that he does. He threw his staff under the bus. He threw his staff under the bus. He threw his coaches under the bus. He threw, his players under the bus. He threw everybody under the bus last year, if we were to pull that up. Like, and nobody says anything to him. When if we're talking about deeming that as an embarrassing thing to the university, bro, there is a bunch of coaches out there who embarrass their university. Like to me, this is so ridiculous They're like, I can't even believe that Kansas State would think they could get away with this. Like, this is beyond ridiculous. That man didn't embarrass the university. And even if me and Jerome Tang didn't have this relationship, bro, I still would have this same thought process. You are ridiculous. You are dumb as an institution to think that this is your savior to keep you from paying this man $18 million when you made a bad decision. Own up to it and just pay the man his money.
So give me a little bit of insight here into Jerome Tang. Like, is since you know him well, how do you think he will handle this? And also, like, is he the type to try to strike back, to speak out against the university again, or is he going to try to handle this privately?
Coach Tang is not going down without a fight. Coach Tang is going to get that $18 million. And if he doesn't get all the 18, I guarantee he'll get something close to it. But I guarantee he is not going down without a fight. That's one thing I know about that man. He is tough. He is resilient. He's not tapping out. And especially when you got guys like Stephen A speaking up now publicly about this. Like, I mean, they talked about this on First Take.
Yeah.
So it's
crazy how badly Kansas State overplayed their hand here. Yeah, Jerome Tang was not a popular coach this season because of the product on the court, not because of anything else. So yeah, the Wildcats made a fool of themselves.
Kansas State looks bad right now, and like what's even more confusing is, bro, the season ends in 3 weeks or in like 4 weeks. It's what, February? It's
the 17th today.
It's February 17th. The Big 12 tournament is probably less than a month from now, in about 4 weeks. So you mean to tell me you couldn't just suck it up for another month? And then after that, you never got to worry about Jerome Tang. You can let him go. But you chose to do it, right, bro? That's such a terrible move by the institution. That is such a terrible move by the institution. And I have a Kansas State game coming up here in a few weeks, and I can't wait. I can't wait to go to Manhattan. I cannot wait. Because one thing I'm going to tell the producer, hey, let's stay away from this topic unless you want my honest thoughts on national television.
Hey, if I'm your producer, I'm saying give me your honest thoughts on national television. But King, you better be careful here because this podcast is my meal ticket. I can't have you blowing this up, okay? This is how I'm making it out.
All I'm saying is that if you want my honest thoughts on national television, you should never fire them. You made a bad decision. Period. They made a bad decision. They need to own up to it. Like that. That's all I have to say, right? That's all I have to say. We didn't went way over 10 minutes because my bad. I didn't got super.
I like
super
it.
infuriated. I'm passionate about this because
let's take a quick break. We come right back. We got a Final Four preview for you. Yeah, February 17th. We're doing a Final Four preview. All right, so stay tuned.
Let's do it. All right, we're back, and like Hank said, it's February, and we're talking about a Final Four preview because that's what we have on Saturday. That is exactly what we have. We have Michigan versus Duke. We have Arizona versus Houston. We got a Final Four preview. That's a matchup that no doubt has a legitimate chance to end up in the Final Four. So let's break this down, all right? Let's break this down. You ready, Hank?
Yeah, take it away. Which game are you starting with?
All right. Let's start with Michigan and Duke. Let's put 5 minutes on the clock, all right? So, Michigan versus Duke. This is a game in which I don't necessarily... You know what? Let's put it like this. I think we will learn a lot about Cam Boozer in this game. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at the front court of Michigan and you look at Mara, you look at Marez Johnson, you look at Lindeborg, I mean, that right there, they have people to be able to throw at Duke. They have people who will be able to guard Cam Boozer in a variety of ways. And the rim protection might be something like Duke hasn't seen all year. But here's what I think this game is truly going to come down to. It's going to come down to whose guards make more plays. Like, we know Cam Boozer is going to be great. We know Yax is going to be great. But I think it comes down to guards are going to have to make plays in this game. Because the one knock that I've said on both of these teams, whether it be Duke or Michigan, the one knock that I've had on both of these teams is I've said their guards aren't good enough. Their guards are not good enough to help you get to where you want to go. So this game will come down to whose guards are going to play better. I mean, when you look at Elliot Cadeau, when you look at Amari Burnett, or you go to Duke's side and you look at Caleb Foster, I mean, whose guards are going to be better? Foster versus Cadeau. Like, I genuinely think that it'll come down to that singular matchup. Who
How
plays
about
better
Isaiah
out of
Evans
Caleb
though?
Foster or
Who,
Cadeau? I mean,
how
Isaiah
about
Evans and Amari Burnett, like, for sure. Whose backcourt is going to play better? I think that's what it comes down to, Hank.
Evans had himself a game against Syracuse this week. He was, I think, like 8 for 13 from the field and hit half his threes. So we've talked about this before. If Duke doesn't really seem to have a number 2 or a number 3, but if a guy like that can get hot, to me, he looked decisive when the ball in his hands. Do you think there's something to, like, when your shots start going in, it's just easier to make decisions out there? You know, because I've seen it's
Yeah.
pretty obvious when a player is feeling themselves, when they're more confident, the effect it can have on their game, on their aggressiveness overall.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, of course, like, whenever you make shots, your confidence grows. And, like, it's funny because whenever you make shots and you see the ball go in, not only do you become a better offensive player, obviously, but you become a better defensive player. Like, everything just goes up a notch. It's almost like if you play 2K and you hit a few shots, all of a sudden you have your game breakers, like, going on during the game, and, like, all your stats get increased. Like, that's real life. Like that's how it really feels in real life. You hit a few shots, bro, everything starts going your way. Like, I don't know what it is about basketball, but it's just like the basketball guys, like, they just send everything your way when you see the ball go in. So yes, I do think that when you look at Isaiah Evans, like, he's phenomenal. But the matchup with him and Amari Burnett, the matchup with Elliot Cadeau, Caleb Foster, I do really think that this is what it comes down to. It comes down to whose backcourt can generate more points.
And then on the topic of Cadeau, since we're talking about him, I mean, that guy started his career at UNC. He's played against Duke, I think, 3 times already. Is that an advantage? He's familiar with his team. I know that the Duke roster turns over so much year after year, but
I mean, I think the biggest advantage he has is he just understands what big games feel like. He's so used to playing in big games that this is just another game. Because, I mean, no doubt this is going to be one of the most anticipated matchups that we will have all season. So to me, it's almost a matter of, because he's so used to playing in big games, he will rise up to the occasion in the moment. So it's not necessarily that he's familiar with Duke, but he's just familiar with big moments. But let's go to the other matchup, because this is another big moment. Houston versus Arizona. And I think that this is arguably, this might be the better game of the two. Honestly, this might be the better game, if I'm being honest. Because now we have guards who can actually make shots, and who are actually consistent, and who we know are legit and who are proven. Because I think that when you look at Houston, when you look at Arizona, I mean, Houston came off a very tough loss against Iowa State, which went down to the wire. Iowa State's a hard place to play in. They make shots, especially down the end, down the stretch. So that's just a tough place to play in. So I'm not taking anything from Houston on that loss, but this is a bounce back game. This game will be in Arizona, right? This game is in Arizona, right? This game is actually at Houston.
yeah.
Oh, it's at Houston. Yeah, so this is a tough one. And Arizona is a team right now that I still think they're the best team in the country. But they have a few things to figure out. And especially with this Koa Pete, maybe potentially not being healthy. We'll see. I mean, who do they play this week? Arizona plays.
It's a tough schedule. So they're coming off back-to-back losses to Kansas
They
and
play
Texas
BYU
Tech, and then
on
they've got
Wednesday.
BYU tomorrow. Yeah.
They play BYU Wednesday. I mean, BYU doesn't have Richie Saunders, so I'm not necessarily worried about that game. But that's a game in which they have to get. They have to get that game. They have to start building some type of momentum to where they can go into this game Saturday and feel confident. Because right now, what they have been doing, it's been close in both of those previous matchups, but they just haven't been able to get over the hump towards the end. I'm not necessarily concerned about their 2 losses. I think they need these losses in order to grow. But I do think that this matchup will come down to the front court, the interior. because this is a game in which JoJo Tugler and CNAC cannot get in foul trouble. And Arizona puts so much pressure on your front court that you have to stay out of foul trouble. Because when they start going to that bench, like we always talk about Houston, and they don't have as much depth, but the front court depth is non-existent. So if you have to really start going into your bench, I don't think that works in the favor of Houston, and I think that Arizona takes full advantage of that. So I think that JoJo Tugler and CNAC, in order for Houston to win this game, they have to rely. They can't foul out. And JoJo Tugler can be foul prone, and we've seen multiple times this year. So they have to stay out of foul trouble in order to win this game. And I'm picking Michigan to win the first game. I'm picking Houston to win this second game.
I like it. I like the bounce back for Houston. Tough loss to Iowa State. That game came down to the wire, and like you said, like going into Ames is never easy. And then also like I think the TJ Otzelberger versus Kelvin Sampson, like that's about as good of a coaching matchup as we could possibly have in the league today. So it was definitely probably a very fun one for them. And then also on Arizona, if they do lose that game, even if they manage to beat BYU without Saunders, that would be 3 losses in their last 4 games. We talked about it at the beginning of the stretch, but they had a very brutal schedule, as tough of a run as anyone in the country has had all season. With Kansas, Texas Tech, BYU, and Houston back to back. They've got Kansas and then Iowa State, who we just talked about, coming up a little bit later. And sandwiched in the middle there, King, like your Bears might get steamrolled. They might have a pissed off Arizona team coming to town looking for someone they can take out their frustration on. That could be a tough one to turn the TV on.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I guess I should go the opposite, Duke and Arizona, just to make things interesting here. But I don't feel strongly about any of these. Let's go on to our next topic. We mentioned Iowa State a little bit. They did take down Houston in that game. Iowa State fans, I'm very sorry. We don't mean any disrespect. We're not really going to talk about you at all today. We're going back to the Houston side of this because even though the Cyclones won, it did feel like one of the biggest stories I saw coming out of this game was people just blown away with how Kingston Flemings handled the pressure in that game. And in particular, Latif Love on Twitter called this out. Iowa State has shut down first round picks that they go up against this year, holding projected first rounders to just 12 points, like a 1-to-2 assist to turnover ratio, the other way that you would usually have it, and then only under 50% true shooting. Flemings came out, shot 73% on his true shooting, 22 points, including 4 of 6 from 3. So he was a bucket. He didn't end the game on the strongest note, but he was the reason that Houston was in that game. So I think people came away really impressed with his performance. I've seen some overreactions throwing him in that mix with Caleb Wilson and then the top 3 prospects as one of the guys you want to have at the top of the draft. I said all of this to King before we sat down, and he was like, yeah, but Darius Acuff is better. So King, I need to hear the case for both these guys. 1, how has Kingston Flemings impressed you? That was a guy you were hot on early in the season. And then 2, what is it? Why aren't you giving up on Acuff? Why do you think because he's been a controversial prospect as well? Why do you hold him in such high regard?
So I think that when you look at Kingston Flemings, in the biggest moments of the year, he's been able to step up. And he's been able to make shots. The knock on him coming into the season was that he just couldn't make shots. Well, he's shown everybody that that's not true. I can really shoot it down. I can shoot it from deep. And I can do it off the dribble. I can do it off the catch. It does not matter. And then you look at his speed and his athleticism. I mean, his end-to-end speed and his athleticism is, I'm not saying they're the same type of player, but it's almost Derrick Rose-esque. I mean, the way he can fly and the way he can get from one side of the court to the other, something like we haven't seen. And then all of a sudden you talk about what can you do defensively? Well, he goes to a school in Houston that is defensive-minded and that you have to be able to defend. So you know he's going to be a good defender because he comes from a coach that demands that. So to me, a mix of all of those things, no doubt in my mind that you have a top 10 for sure pick, maybe a top 5 pick in the draft. But everybody is saying that he's a for sure lock on a top 5 pick. But we continue to forget about Darius Acuff. I mean, Hank, this dude is phenomenal. Like Darius Acuff might be the best guard in America. I said it. He might be the best guard in America. Look at this. In the SEC play, he is first in the conference in scoring at 23. He is first in the conference in assists at 6 a game. He is third in the conference in field goal percentage at 49%. And he is second in the conference in assist to turnover ratio. Like, I talked to my guy at Kentucky, and they played him. And he said they've seen almost everybody this year. They've seen Braden Smith. They've seen the guards from Florida. They've seen almost everybody. They've seen a lot of guys. He said they have not seen a guard all year like Darius Acuff. He said Darius Acuff was the toughest guard that they played against. And I believe it, because when you watch his game, oh my goodness. Darius Acuff is unreal. He is unreal, Hank. Like, I'm talking about this dude, Darius Acuff, is a for sure top 10 pick and an immediate starter in the NBA next year. Immediate. So is Kingston Flemings, though. But we just can't forget about Darius Acuff, because he's legitimately, if not the best point guard in the country, he's top 3, and he's not 3.
All right, so then compare him to Kingston. What is it about Kingston's game that's getting him this love? And then also, what do you think he doesn't do as well as Acuff, or what is it that puts Acuff over the top?
I think that Kingston Flemings is more of a guy who can he's faster. I think his end-to-end speed is a lot more. So they're very effective, but they do it differently. Kingston Flemings more so relies on his speed. He gets to his mid-range pull-up, can just rise up over the top of you. And Acuff is more of a guy that's just all mentality, like all mindset, like it's all IQ driven. Like, I'll come off the pick and roll and I'm gonna hit the corner on the skip pass because I'm reading the tag. Not too many guys can hit that pass consistently. Darius Acuff is a legit passer. Like, I think Kingston Flemings is a decent passer, but if you really break down the film, how I can tell if a guy is a really good passer or not, it's what are you doing in a pick and roll setting? Like, when you come off this pick and roll, how do you survey the floor, all right? Your first read is the drop big. So if the big drops, right, and now all of a sudden you get to your midi, pull up. Kingston Flemings has been great in that, right? He steps up. Now you hit the pocket pass because you're reading the backside tag. So when I hit the pocket pass, if the backside tag doesn't step over to stop the roller, now I'm hitting that. All right. Well, if he does stop the roller, can I hit the skip pass, which is an extremely hard pass to make at the college level? Can you come off that pick and roll and spit it out and get it to that corner from the top of the key? Like Darius Acuff Jr., there's not a pass that he can't make. And I've seen him make all types of passes, which is why I think he is arguably the best point guard in the country. And not only can he pass it, he can score it, which is what makes his passing so much better, because teams load up and they're like, oh my gosh, he can really score off this pick and roll. And now that just opens up everything because he draws that extra attention. So I really do think that Darius Acuff is a better playmaker than Kingston Flemings. And arguably, you can say that he might be a better scorer than Kingston Flemings too, because he averages more assists and more points with a higher assist-to-turnover ratio. So you can make the argument. I love Kingston Flemings because Kingston Flemings is my guy. So, like, I love that dude, and I think he is extremely talented, and I think he's definitely deserving of a top 10 pick for sure. But we just can't forget about Darius Acuff. We can't forget about him.
King, anything else? This is our last topic for the day. I had one more thing I wanted to share with you, but before we go, is there anything else you want to get off your chest?
Nah, go ahead and hit me with whatever you can hit me with.
All right, this is my favorite quote. I saw it all week. I just had to get it in here somewhere. This is from Andy Kennedy, who's the coach down at UAB. His team shot 10 of 22 on layups in a loss to Tulane, and he dropped the heater in the post-game press conference. He said, "These are college scholarship players that are making more money than most people in this room. Is it too much to ask for you to make a layup? I mean, we're in bozo land, man." And what I appreciate about it is the reporter who wrote this quote out, he underlined bozo and land, making it clear that this is not. He's not saying we're in a hypothetical bozo land. We're in the proper noun, an actual place, bozo land. That's where we are currently. I love it. I think we might have to rename our Who's Trippin' segment to Bozo Land. At the very least, find some way to incorporate that on a weekly level. So I don't know.
I love that.
All right, Mr. King.
Shout out to AK, man. Shout out to AK, man. He's one of the best. All right. Well, look, and you guys are the best too. I appreciate you guys tuning in every week. If you like us, rate us, subscribe, whatever you want to do is greatly appreciated. Until next time, me and Hank, we are out.
See you.